Hey fellow MVPers, wanted to take a look in this video at Manny Pina. He's a guy that I actually didn't have in my game before. Now, the guy's 30, really didn't have much major league experience before this, so sometimes there are guys like that. Mainly to do with not having much major league experience and already pushing 30. So I went ahead and I had pre-filled all of this information. You saw his low ratings. I wanted to do this stuff on camera for you guys so you could kind of get an idea of how I do it from start to finish. First thing we do, as always, we take a look at his splits. And this is first time I'll be seeing this, same as you guys. Versus lefties, overall 299 hitter, a little bit of power. He's a 338 hitter versus lefties, 283 versus righties. So if a guy's batting 275 or better, I'd put him at 70 for contact. You could give him a couple points above 70, but since he's new, doesn't have really any major league experience, we'll go ahead and play it conservative with him and leave him at 70 for now. I always check back later in the year, see if he's been able to keep up his pace and everything, and see if we need to make any adjustments. Now versus lefties, 338 hitter. You see this a lot versus for righty batters versus lefty pitching. Their splits versus right-handed pitching and lefty pitching. Oftentimes there's a huge spread between how they hit lefties and righties, and you guys are aware of how that works. So 338 hitter, normally we'd go ahead and if a guy's hitting above 300, we put him in the 80 to 90 range. If a guy's over 325, go ahead and put him at 90 or above. So in his case, 90 plus would be warranted, but I'm going to go ahead and put him mid-80s for now. Just like I said, I want to see if he can keep up the pace. More established guys, they're obviously going to get the benefit of the doubt because they've done it over time. Power. No home runs versus lefties. Power, you guys know how the game is. I mean, it's not always just home runs. It's can the guy drive the ball to the gap, to the warning track, get doubles, triples. So just because he doesn't have any power versus lefties, or any home runs, I should say, we're not going to put him at 0. If a guy's in the majors, we'd like to give him at least a baseline of upper 40s to 50. We're going to leave him at 50 for now. So that means he's got 7 home runs and 166 at-bats versus righties. And if you calculate that over 600 at-bats, which is how I calculate my power formula for an individual player, and this is just looking at it off the top of my head, I would say he'd come out roughly about mid-20s in home runs. If a guy's hitting 20 home runs, I'd put him at 70 power for either right-handed pitching or left-handed pitching. I feel comfortable doing 70, maybe a point or two more. As I said, want to take some time and see if he can keep it up. Because a guy that comes to mind, I don't want to go off topic real quick too much, but Sandy Leone. The guy came out of nowhere last year, and now look at him this year. If you're not familiar with his stats, take a look at how he did last year versus this year. So I don't like to overreact too much when a guy kind of comes out of nowhere, even if he has a lot of ABs. I like to give it time, kind of let things even out for you guys and keep it realistic. So, plate discipline, 300 hitter, 344 on base percentage. I subtract average from on base percentage to calculate it. 40 is good for that. No steals. He's a catcher, something you'd probably expect. Give him what I'll do with pitchers and even catchers, first basemen, guys with no speed, no real speed. Put him in the 50s at least. Sometimes with the pitchers I'll go in the 40s, but give them some stealing tendency, even if they haven't. That doesn't mean they're going to steal that often, but every now and then is what I've noticed in Dynasty if you have a guy even in the 50s or 60s. So take a look at his hot and cold zones real quick versus righties, and ESPN.com is where I look, where I get all this information on the splits and everything like that. This is me doing him on August 3rd. So I'm looking at his numbers here on the 3rd of August. And this is how his splits look versus righties. Go ahead and switch the chart to lefties. It looks like he's got a lot of neutral zones here versus lefties. And then hot, down and away, cold in. Alright, that's Manny Pina, everybody. A guy like Chris Taylor, right? One of my other videos kind of came out of nowhere. This guy is an older guy, 30 years old, making a splash. So we'll see if he can keep it up. Right now I have him as a 3-star player. Generally, to get a 4th star, a guy's got to be somebody that's been consistent over time, 300 average, 30 home runs. For pitchers, I have a different standard that I use for them, but that's Manny Pina, everybody. If you have any questions or want to see any other guys, let me know. And check out my other videos of the other players. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.